What is this? What is this? Charade getting on the top floor in the high rent district. Here he goes, crossing himself. Oh!
These videos are not for children. If you're a children, then piss off.
Hey there, it's me, your least favorite YouTuber, the Infuso. Here today to talk to you about some of your least favorite wrestling matches with some of your all-time favorite wrestling YouTubers. With that being said, let's just get right on into it. Now, I don't think a whole lot of people are going to be surprised at seeing a Nia Jax match on this list, considering that she's gained the reputation of being one of the most unsafe workers in the industry today. Wrestling is already dangerous to begin with, but let's just say if you add Nia Jax to the mix, your chances of getting injured drastic go up. And while I can, and probably will cover a plethora of her matches here in these videos, let's just start with one of her most recent efforts. It was an Average Raw, an episode which saw the real Samoan Wrecking Ball take on the real-life embodiment of Elsa in another main show filler match. Things were going fine, nothing out of the ordinary. It contained the usual impactful yet painful drops Nia is known for. Nothing too out of the ordinary, but then things got all too real all too quickly. When Ric Flair's daughter slapped The Rock's cousin a little bit too hard. Wow. Wrestling lineage is weird. Following the slap, what ensued was some of the most awkward and painful to watch 4 minutes I can remember ever sitting through in recent memory. I mean, sure, it was entertaining, but, not for the reasons the company would probably like it to be. The rest of the match consisted of real slaps, shoving, forced reversals, and sandbagging. It was like a train wreck in the sense that it was painful to watch, but you just couldn't bring yourself to look away. Although, to be fair, one would probably be safer in a train wreck than in a wrestling ring with Nia Jax. I mean, I'm not a professional or anything, but I suspect that neither is she. The match thankfully ended with the two getting back on the same page. Which is surprising because just moments before, it looked like the two weren't even in the same library. I mean, really, at this point, what else can I say to you that the video doesn't show itself? It was bad. It was not good. Now, if you'll excuse me, I'll be passing this video over to the watcher of the botchers, Maffew himself.
Hello, it's Maffew of Dog Wall and, Kings of Leon fame. The Infuso has asked me very politely and nicely if I could give a few words on my favourite match from TNA Lockdown 2007, the blindfold match between Chris Harris and James Storm. I just want to say before we get into this, sometimes you can get 9 things out of 10 absolutely perfect, but it's that one thing that you don't get right that takes away all the hard work. So, to set the scene, it's TNA, it's spring 2007, and America's Most Wanted, arguably the definitive early TNA tag team, have split up after losing a match to LAX. James Storm is not taking it very well, so I had to smash a bottle over his ex-partner Chris Harris's head, blinding him in one eye. Damn you, Lawler. Promos air about Harris talking about having only 30% vision, but that's all he needs to get revenge on Storm and give him eye for an eye justice, Bible style. Oh, two fantastic wrestlers who've teamed up with each other for years, got great chemistry. Wow, I can't wait for this grudge match. Well, GM Jim Cornette would not allow Harris to compete with just one eye, as that wouldn't be fair, but to give the audience what they want, they're going to make it competitive by having both men forced to wear a bag over their heads. Okay. First of all, he only had one bad eye. It wasn't Daredevil. So he may not be able to catch a baseball, but he can still slam a dude. And second of all, by changing the gimmick to this, it's taken away from the Megadeth grudge match and into, the Robert Martel exercise and crowd participation, which was not what was needed for this feud. It was the wrong thing for the wrong time, and it would be like the end of The Raid, climaxing with a song and dance routine. So, in fairness, the crowd are like, all right, give him a chance. We're not that bad. Let's see what they're going to do. And the crowd chants for them. They're really into it to begin with, and the commentators point out, wow, what a great crowd we've got. What a great company we have for the crowd to be chanting for this as soon as the match starts. And then seconds later, they start chanting for "We want wrestling," and the commentators go back to Harris goes for a little takedown. He and Storm bump again. Harris escapes. He crawls for a minute, and then they do the thing where he goes, "Wait, I can't see the thing. Help, fans! Is he there? Boo! Is he there? Boo! Is he there? Yeah, get him! Get him! Kill him!" And it's like, all right, and the crowd's like, all right, they get into it. But then one of the bags falls off. And the crowd like, right, okay. But the referee's like, no, sorry, we will put the bag back on the head. It's like, all right, cool. They got back into it. Harris tries cheating by taking his off. And Storm, idiot. Harris is the good one. Storm is the bad one. Storm is taking his bag off and cheating a few times and then put it back on and be like, oh, I can't see. The fans are realizing that is more exciting than the actual match. Start chanting ballroom.
And then the cheap shot from Storm caught him with the knee. Exchange here now. You see the scoop.
Chanting ballroom loudly. They start doing the bit where it's like, oh, body slam. Well, I hope he's still there. Elbow drop onto nothing. It's like, oh, this is not what we wanted from these men. They're so good. And then it all goes a bit Ultimate X, the first one, where the masks fall off yet again. And the referee puts them back on as the crowd show how much they care about this match by chanting, "Fire Russo." Not that they wanted him to lose his job. They just wanted him to be put on fire. And eventually it ends. Rudy Charles doing his best to go, yeah, well, I didn't see anything. I didn't see any shenanigans. And the rest is like, haha, neither did we. And the rest is like, that was not what we wanted. That was not the match we invested in. Luckily, they would get a rematch the following pay-per-view, Sacrifice, and they would nearly kill each other to get back their sterling reputations once more. That would last for a few years until, well, used to be on Sci-Fi. So, it ended all right. I don't know how to end this. Wait, I've got it. Like the wrestlers, though, many people just couldn't see the point in this match.
Damn, that was good.
That's a go-home line, isn't it? Thank you, V Infuso. I hope that's what you wanted. V Infuso Management, where wrestlers become legends and legends live forever. Sorry. V Infuso Management. I'll make your grow bigger. V Infuso Management. A good channel by a good person.
The lie detector determined that was a lie.
Oh, all right. Last one. V Infuso Management. Get it?
The Botchamania guy, guys. Thank you for that. Much appreciated. Now, over the years, the WWE has certainly given airtime to celebrities who have done next to nothing to draw a number. Or, come to think of it, to do anything memorable with the brand at all. Just look at who they got in the Hall of Fame. Drew Carey showed up for one Royal Rumble to promote a pay-per-view he was doing, and they gave that man a ring. But for as bad as the guest host era of Monday Night Raw was, for as ridiculous as the celebrity crossover in this company could get, I don't think there was anything worse than when the WWE gave airtime to celebrity impersonators. Attempting to capitalize off the then relevant real-life Rosie O'Donnell feud, they brought in two wrestlers to portray Donald Trump and Rosie O'Donnell, so they could attempt to take their real-life fighting off of The View into the fictitious world of wrestling in the wrestling ring. Now, judging on the concept alone, that's pretty pathetic. It's dumb, and quite frankly, it makes me sad just thinking about it. Of course, the whole angle was just a joke, but the company is what sort of came out as the punchline in all this. And also, no one was laughing. It was awful. Obviously, just look at it. I mean, why else would it be on this list? But it was one of those times that made you really want to hide the fact that you were a wrestling fan. And Jim Cornette claims that it's guys doing backflips that's ruining the business. Yeah, okay. The angle was bad, the match was goofy, and honestly, the promos leading up to it were really, really hard to sit through. Look, no matter how you feel about Donald Trump on any side of the political spectrum, I think we can all come to an agreement here and say, WrestleMania 23, this was not. This was a terrible use of somebody with a name to try to further the company's reputation and relevance. And speaking of which, I'm going to do the same thing right now as I hand this over to Grim of GTS fame.
What's up, everybody? It's Grim from GTS Wrestling, and today I have the distinct honor of reviewing one of the shittiest matches in the history of our sport, the King of the Road match. which was the Blacktop Bully versus Dustin Rhodes. Now, let me tell you. Now I know why I love wrestling back in the day way more than I love wrestling now. Because Bobby Heenan! Not because of this bullshit match, which was trash, which features two dudes wrestling on a trailer riding down the road as a tractor trailer, a flatbed tractor trailer that Bobby Heenan claims is going 55 miles an hour. This thing's moving like 8 miles an hour, okay? You can see other traffic in the background whizzing around the truck that's chugging along. They're going 55 miles an hour, Bobby Heenan says. And then there's hay bales and manure. And he says, it smells just like Dustin's living room. Bobby Heenan was on fire with the roasts in this episode. And like a ladder match or a steel cage match where you have to escape, the object of this match was to climb to the front of the truck, right by the cab, where all the exhaust is spewing into your face, and pull the horn. Too stupid. But don't worry, the WCW helicopter flying high in the sky has got our asses covered with the coverage of what the is Dustin Rhodes doing, climbing to the back of the truck. Even Bobby Heenan couldn't cover for this epic botch, as Blacktop Bully is now at the front of the truck and could easily win the match. Dustin is 55 feet away at the other end of the goddamn trailer. I guess he thought the bell was back there, or maybe there was one on each side. Whatever the he was thinking, all of a sudden he gets up there and he's like, oh shit, I'm just standing here at the top of the back of the truck for nothing. And they're like, what is he doing? They're literally calling him out. What the is he doing? So this shit show on the road has now popped a flat and is ready to be canceled. This is just bullshit. And they're like, this is a first, Shivani. Poor Heenan, man, trying to save this turd. Dustin finally acts like he knew what the he was doing, and he grabs a fence post and he bashes Bully in the belly, and then he does some big flying drop kick, and then he does the most shittiest pile driver I've ever seen. It's like the turd show, road show here, pile driver style. Dustin Rhodes delivers the worst pile driver, and they're like popping for it. Bobby Heenan goes, this is so dangerous. Have you ever seen a man pile drive to the back of a flatbed trailer before? Like he's trying to polish this poo. God bless Bobby Heenan, a national treasure. And because there's no room to actually wrestle, these guys don't know what the hell to do other than punch each other. And they're like, well, I'm going to try to do something different other than punch you. So Dustin Rhodes picks up the solid steel hay bale, which is hay. Now, hay can be heavy when it's all packed together or whatever, but this hay just looked loose as it looked like a big pillow, and he slams it on Blacktop Bully, and Shivani is like, wow. Bobby Heenan tries to save it. He goes, that's a 55, 75-pound bale of hay, Shivani. It looks like a pillow fight. And Shivani's like, this is what WCW Uncensored is all about. You're goddamn right. That was the most truthful part of this entire commentary on this cringe carnival headed down the highway. That is what WCW Uncensored was all about. Trash. It was the goddamn worst. And thank you, V, for giving me the pleasure of roasting the out of it. And if you're not down with that, I got 3 words for you. Eat it. Yeah.
Thanks, man. That Grim, he... You know what, maybe we should just move on.
Oh, hey there. It's me, your least favorite YouTuber, V Infuso. And very often I get asked the question, V, how do you keep your beard so pristine, so perfect, so well-groomed? Well, you know, for those of you who have actually seen my face, because from time to time I'm actually a cartoon avatar. Well, the answer's simple. I go to ringmasterbeardco.com, where I grab a big bundle of their beard oils using the discount code Infuso. I personally like the essence of a bald bearded bastard, but that's mainly because my face is on it. So, you can't beat that. But hey, if you don't like the way that I smell, which I have never had that complaint before in my life, I swear, there are also plenty of other options. But if you don't believe in me and my vouching for this product, then why don't you go head on over to that site and get some yourself. And do like I do and use the discount code Infuso to get 10% off. Oh, what's that? I'm not allowed to use that. Oh, okay, well, I have been. Don't put this in the video. Okay, no, all right. What are you doing in my bathroom?
Hello, everybody. This is Frank Mandolini of the Last Minute Wrestling Podcast. First of all, let me thank V Infuso for giving me the chance of speaking about the wonderful hardcore evening gown match between Patterson and Gerald Briscoe. As you can tell from my accent, I come from Italy, and Italy is not traditionally a place with so much wrestling, either on television or in terms of wrestling shows, of live shows. So basically, we skipped through the Attitude Era, so I didn't have the chance to see this match live as it happened at King of the Ring 2000. And I went back watching now with 2021 fresh eyes, and my reaction was pretty much, the fuck did I just saw? So this is a 10 minutes affair during the pay-per-view King of the Ring, as I said. And out of the 10 minutes, like the first 5 is just the recap video. One thing that I thought interesting that was like really time telling of the time, it was the presentation, which was done like an episode of CSI or 24, if you know what I mean. And this is the one and only pay-per-view match that both of the guys involved ever had in WWE, which is funny enough considering the reputation that both have. Those are just the stooges nowadays in 2000, late 90s, 2000, WWE, aren't they? And to think that those incredible wrestling minds only had the chance to wrestle in front of people who hated them. Because go back, listen to that crowd. That crowd hated their guts. I guess there was a little bit of transphobia, homophobia back then still. It's not quite on the level of Goldust in the mid-90s against Roddy Piper, but you know what I mean. And can someone explain to me why Briscoe entered to I'm a Real American? At the time, Hogan wasn't even in the Federation. It was still in WCW, so probably it was a way to mock WCW. I have no idea. Immediately after the match starts, we have the incredibly classy move on behalf of Pat Patterson of showing a banana down Briscoe's throat. Yeah, you love it. You love to see this kind of sexism exacerbated. There is a whole lot of JR shouting, "This is hideous. This ain't wrestling." You think? You think, JR? Yeah? I mean, JR, these days, he gets a lot of crap from people like Jim Cornette because of he sold his soul to AEW, to these outlaw match shows. And this was a million times worse of literally the worst thing I've ever seen on AEW. So yeah, JR has been calling so much crap for so many years. He had to put up with so much shit in his time in WWE that is quite frankly scaring. And the worst part of this whole goddamn 3 minutes match that felt longer than any other 3 minutes I've ever witnessed in my life was Jerry the King Lawler. He was giggling all the time. He must have pissed himself because he was laughing so much. There was the most fun and entertaining thing he has ever seen. Go back and listen. Of course, the thing is unwatchable, even if you put it on mute. But if you have your volume on, man, I can tell you, you really cannot stand Jerry the King Lawler. And I can't imagine Vince McMahon behind the scenes. It must have been literally pissing himself because he couldn't contain all of this excitement. I think that, in his opinion, that probably is the best match of the year 2000. No questions asked. The match ends when Crash Holly, which of course wasn't involved in this match, just randomly enters the ring with a trash can, hits Patterson, and covers for the 1-2-3, and he is the new hardcore champion. Basically, that made no sense. We had to endure the match only to have substantially a non-finish, because Crash Holly got his championship back. Good for him. But what about those two old dudes in drag? Yeah. Wrestling! Anyway, thank you so much, Infuso, for this chance you gave me to be a part of this episode of your channel. If you want, you can look for the Last Minute Wrestling podcast on basically every platform, YouTube included, pretty much. And if you want to chat, you can find me on Twitter at LMW Podcast. That's really the best place where you can find your good pal from Italy, Frank Mandolini. Ciao.
Thanks, Frank. If you guys haven't already, I highly recommend checking out his podcast. His interview with Rob Van Dam is one of my personal favorites, so don't forget to head on over to his channel and let him know sent ya. We're now going to conclude this episode with what I believe is the most disappointing match in human history. Well, to me, at least. Goldberg versus The Undertaker should be a legendary bout. The two holders of the most dominant streaks in all of professional wrestling colliding for the first time. You could absolutely understand why this would headline a pay-per-view. But can someone explain to me why this would headline a pay-per-view in 2019? If this was a decade, maybe a decade and a half earlier, this could have made some real money and been a great spectacle. Now granted, it did still make some money, and in ways it was undoubtedly a spectacle, but once again, maybe not for the right reasons. As expected, the two men's iconic entrances lasted longer than the match itself, which is fine because I don't think anybody lost any money on that bet. But regardless, when you see what the match actually consisted of, you're not really complaining about that. This is such a sad showing because these two guys are legends in their own right. But leading up to this match, neither man had too many solid performances in the last 5 to 7 years. Bad timing, that's what it is. Bad timing. Just shouldn't have been done. Was this really too much of a dream match that you just couldn't pass it up? You couldn't have given us Sting versus The Undertaker, but Goldberg versus The Undertaker in their mid-50s, that was necessary. That was needed. We couldn't go on with our lives as marks if we didn't see this spectacle. You know, how would wrestling fans be able to endure and move on if they weren't able to see two of the biggest names in the 90s go head-to-head in the late 2010s? How would it be done? Goldberg came to the ring already bleeding because he did his pre-match pump-up, which consists of him slamming his head into the local door. No joke. But mid-match, I guess he decided, hey, you know what, that's not enough blood. I'm not nearly amped enough. So he ran headfirst into the turnbuckle. So from that point on, for the rest of the match, Goldberg's head resembled a half-popped gusher. This apparently really threw off Goldberg, and the match with him. Undertaker then decides, hey, Bill, you know what? I don't know if that was really scary enough. What if I instead hit you with one of the scariest looking tombstones in human history? Got some real Stone Cold Owen Hart vibes there. Then Goldberg eventually decides to follow that up with what looks to be the worst jackhammer I've ever seen in my life. Goldberg is clearly out of it in this match. And Undertaker is probably just glad to be on the other side of the concussion this time around after his WrestleMania match with Brock Lesnar, but he's still left out there to make the best of a pretty shitty situation. But I think the saddest thing about this is that the two really tried. They really tried to go out there and put their all in. But they just couldn't make it work. And to me, this is one of the saddest matches I've ever had the misfortune of sitting through in my life. With all that being said, I was your least favorite YouTuber, Infuso, and that was some really, really bad wrestling. I thank you for joining us, as always, and I hope to see you all in the next one.
I am vengeance. I am the night, and that was Infuso. Just remember, if you're not tuning in, then you're missing out.
So, if you like the words that came out of his mouth hole, and you too would like to become a V-generate, don't forget to like and subscribe. Thanks for watching, nerds!
And if you're not joining the fun, you're in for one bad day. And you know what they say about having one bad day?
Catch him next time. Same bat time. Same bat channel.